It will be 80 years this October that venerable British socialist periodical The Tribune published George Orwell's celebrated Jeremiad on the subject of international sport. As the Soviet football champions Dynamo Moscow toured Britain, Orwell took a hearty suck of lemon and harumphed, "Serious sport has nothing to do with fair play. It is bound up with hatred, jealousy, boastfulness, disregard of all rules, and sadistic pleasure in witnessing violence. In other words, it is war, minus the shooting." George Orwell had not seen anything yet. Specifically, he had not seen India and Pakistan play cricket, which, in fairness, would have been impossible in 1945, Pakistan still being, at that point, a couple of years from being prized off India to become a separate state. Pakistan and India, to understate the case dramatically, do not get on. In the 78 years they have been neighbours, they have fought in wars, scrapped in skirmishes, waged covert operations, and generally goaded and annoyed each other. They most recently came properly to blows in May, when the perennial mutual seething over Kashmir erupted into air raids, missile blitzes, and artillery barrages. But Pakistan and India also play cricket against each other, and there is usually, to understate the case even more dramatically, a bit of an edge to it. They met at the weekend in the final of the Asia Cup in Dubai.
Pull-off shots like this in a huge game, a pressure game.
As a sporting event, it was entirely uninteresting. The Asia Cup is a tournament of the tacky, silly short form of cricket known as 2020, a hideous, misbegotten bastard mutant of the noble and magnificent game of Test cricket, each match of which is scheduled for 5 days, as God intended. 2020 cricket is but another dismal reflection on a human species increasingly unable to relate to anything unaccompanied by flashing lights, fireworks, and periodic choruses of Sweet Caroline or some similar equally inane sing-along. Anyway, India won, congratulations, whatever. At the conclusion of the match, however, not only did both teams decline the traditional handshakes, but India refused to accept the trophy, on the grounds that it was to be presented by Asian Cricket Council President Mohsin Naqvi, also chair of the Pakistan Cricket Board, and also, by way of illustrating the political importance of cricket on the subcontinent, Pakistan's Minister of the Interior. Uproar has not merely ensued, but been willfully amplified. India's captain, Suryakumar Yadav, announced that he was donating his tournament fees to the Indian Army. Pakistan, had they won, had planned to dedicate their victory to the Pakistan Air Force, but donated their fees to, as Captain Salman Ali Akbar put it, the civilians who lost their lives during the Indian attack. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi rubbed in victory with a post likening the result to Operation Sindoor, the missile strikes against Pakistan earlier this year. "Outcome is the same," he jeered. "India wins." To which Mohsin Naqvi replied, also on social media, "If war was your measure of pride, history already records your humiliating defeat at Pakistan's hands." It is all tremendously dignified, like if a given British Prime Minister tweeted 2 World Wars, 1 World Cup at a German Chancellor, which, if polls suggesting that Nigel Farage could be the next tenant of 10 Downing Street are accurate, is something we may live to see. Cricket has always been both an expression and a barometer of India-Pakistan relations. The game is adored in both countries to a degree difficult to explain to outsiders. In India, literal temples have been erected in honour of the great batter Sachin Tendulkar, the most prolific run scorer in Test cricket history.
That's over the top and that's 4. Don't be short to Tendulkar, especially just outside off stump. He will thrash it to the fence.
In Pakistan, the previous Prime Minister, the presently imprisoned Imran Khan, built his political career on earlier prowess as a fast bowler. He was captain of Pakistan's national team between 1982 and 1992.
You don't have meek fast bowlers. In fact, you only become a fast bowler if you have aggression in you.
India and Pakistan first played each other in a test series in India in the summer of 1952-53. India won that one 2-1 with 2 matches drawn, but subsequent series were characterised by a defensive nervousness, almost as if both sides were frightened of the passions which might be aroused by victory or defeat. Remarkably, all 10 tests in the 2 series of 1954-55 and 1959-60 ended in draws, after which the 2 countries didn't play again until 1978, as relations were soured and sundered by the India-Pakistan Wars of 1965 and 1971. Politicians on both sides have occasionally wondered, or pretended to wonder, whether India and Pakistan's shared love of cricket might be an engine of reconciliation rather than another source of division. Indians and Pakistanis who have shaken hands at the cricket include Rajiv Gandhi and Zia-ul-Haq, Manmohan Singh and Pervez Musharraf, Manmohan Singh and Yusuf Raza Gilani. There have been few such opportunities in recent years, as India and Pakistan tend to meet only at multi-team tournaments. A test series has not been played between them since 2007. Cricket diplomacy, as it became known, is therefore in abeyance. It does not help that international teams are reluctant to visit Pakistan for security reasons, though the West Indies did play there earlier this year, perhaps calculating that only the most obtuse militants would harbour a grudge against players from Jamaica, Guyana and Barbados. And it is only 16 years since Sri Lanka's cricket squad were attacked in Lahore by Islamist terrorists who opened fire on the team bus. 6 Pakistani police officers and 3 others were killed and several Sri Lankan players injured. There was plausible speculation that India's team were the intended target. They had been Pakistan's scheduled opposition, but had withdrawn, prudently it turned out, over security concerns. Sri Lanka had agreed to step in. Had any such attack occasioned the death, injury or kidnapping of Indian players, history would recall the cricket war of 2009. For Monocle Radio, I'm Andrew Mueller.